Look into my eyes, Xbox, Phil Spencer, all the people involved with Xbox. You suck. You're frauds. And most importantly, you are liars. Because I was right about Phil Spencer all along, but I had a moment of weakness. I had a moment where I started to kind of understand what Phil was peddling out there, because a lot of the things he said didn't really make sense to me. But there was a moment, maybe a little bit of clarity. But now I realize that that was just a wordsmith, a Pied Piper leading the flock over the edge of the cliffs like freaking the freaking St. Patrick's Day when all the snakes off the Emerald Isle. Because Phil Spencer is a liar. Phil Spencer is not good at his job. And Phil Spencer has been lying to everyone along the ride. Oh yeah, everything's good with the Xbox. Game Pass is doing great for Xbox. We're a very healthy company. These acquisitions are going to make us better. We finally got games coming out. Everything that was coming out of your mouth and being put into the press and being put into people's mindset was that everything was good with Xbox. But there was cracks in this. We talked about some of these cracks yesterday. Tango going out of business, Arcane Austin going out of business. And it was funny because Phil was nowhere to be found with this. Nowhere to be found, like a ghost. Like, where's Phil? I'm surprised Phil hasn't commented on this. Because last time we heard from Phil about stuff like this, everything was good. Everything was hunky-dory. But hey, you know what? That's got to be the end of this, right? They're not going to cut more studios, right? Look at this nonsense. Absolute nonsense. This is coming to us from Bloomberg. Microsoft's Xbox is planning more cuts after studio closing. Xbox is offering voluntary severance agreements to producers, quality assurance testers, and other staff at ZeniMax as a part of a broader cost-cutting initiative. That's funny. I would think if everything's going good, we wouldn't need to cancel more studios. And maybe there would be a little bit of a warning. Because people at Tango, they were working on Hi-Fi Rush too. We already learned about that. The people at Arcade Austin were allegedly working on a game more like Dishonored. We already learned about that. But you blindsided them. Good old slick Philly. And then he doesn't even face the heat. Doesn't even come outside for it. So you see here, my good friend who totally does not have me blocked, Jason Schreier talking about the situation at hand, blah, blah, blah. A spokesperson declined to comment on the situation. Of course, they talk about Tango Gameworks. They were in the process of pitching a sequel, said people who are asked to not be identified, discussing non-public information. So there's the Hi-Fi Rush sequel, which remember, Hi-Fi Rush, your highest rated Metacritic game, which you have a hard-on for. Your highest Metacritic-rated game in a very long time that wasn't Flight Simulator. A game that you paraded around. Your executives, your Aaron Greenbergs talking about, oh, this game did so great. We're so happy. We had over 2 million players, blah, blah, blah. It was so great. Everything was awesome. Good job, Tango. We love you, Tango. And then you're just like, nah, I'm just kidding, bro. I'm just kidding, bro. We gotta shut you down. The most interesting studio that you've had in a while that's actually producing content for the Xbox. Shut them down. Shut them down. During a town hall with ZeniMax staff on Wednesday morning, Xbox president Matt Booty praised Hi-Fi Rush, but did not specify why the company had shut down the development studio behind it, according to 3 people who were in attendance. What the hell great game, guys. You did awesome, but you know, you gotta get the hell out of here. You know, clean out your offices. This isn't working out. Speaking about the closures more broadly, Booty said the company studios had been spread too thin, like peanut butter on bread, and that leaders across the division had felt understaffed. They decided to close these studios up to free resources elsewhere, he said. Bullshit! Tango literally made you a game. They also made Ghostwire. Those are 2 games. That's more than all your other Xbox studios. Like, there's no other what's another Xbox studio that has made more than 2 games for the Xbox Series X? None. And yes, Ghostwire Tokyo did come out on PlayStation first, but it ended up coming to Xbox. So, maddening. Booty added that the shutdown of subsidiary Arcane Austin, the longtime developer of games such as Prey, was not connected to the performance of its new multiplayer game, Redfall, a critical and commercial flop. Before its closure, Arcane had been looking to return to its roots by pitching a new single-player immersive sim, such as the entry in the Dishonored series, according to people familiar. Okay, Matthew Ass, you don't deserve the name Booty. We're going to call you Matthew Ass on this channel. Matthew Ass, if it wasn't because you guys rushed out Redfall because you said these 3 games are coming out within 12 months, and then you realized that those 3 games were not coming out within 12 months, you had to have at least one of them. You didn't want to crucify Forza because that's a big name for you. You didn't want to sacrifice and crucify Starfield because that's something that people had been highly anticipating, which now, almost a year later, is finally getting the 60 frames per second patch on consoles that's been available on PC. But, you know, Todd Howard, he's another freaking liar too. But Redfall was the game, because Redfall, even at its best, wasn't going to be a great game. It was at best, it was a decent game, an okay game that you let out there to die. It wasn't finished. It was buggy. It had issues. Where's the DLC for this? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's your fault. I don't understand. It's Xbox's fault for rushing the game out there. But nobody wants to take accountability. Jill Braff, head of ZeniMax Studios, said in the town hall that she had hoped the reorganization would allow the division, which also develops Fallout and Doom, to put more focus on fewer projects. It's hard to support 9 studios all across the world with a lean central team with an ever-growing plate of things to do. I think we were about to topple over. Maybe you shouldn't be buying up all these damn studios then. Maybe you shouldn't be buying up all these damn studios. If you can't handle it, why would you try and buy up all these studios just to eliminate them? Like, there's no accountability here whatsoever. You're putting it on... You're not putting it on the freaking Redfall. You're putting it on nothing. Spread too thin, boys. We're spread too thin. It's hard to support all these studios. At some point in time, you have to take accountability. There is a common denominator with all of these problems with Xbox. And it's not gamers. And it's not the gaming community. It's Xbox. It's Xbox, yes. PlayStation is in a bit of a rough spot right now when it comes to new releases. They seem to be doing okay. Nintendo, kind of in a rough spot with new releases. They seem to be doing okay. They got new hardware coming up as well. It's not like this all just sprung up out of nowhere. This is the video game industry, something you've been in for 2 decades plus. I would think you would kind of understand how this works now. You're on your 4th system launch. You can't figure this out? You're still confused? Still confused about developmental studios? What happened to the expanding partnerships in Japan, Phil Spencer? Because that's something you said, Phil Spencer. Oh, yeah, we're making the big push to Japan by closing our one Japanese studio that we have with Tango. Frickin' liar. You are a liar. You're a snake oil salesman, and you're a scumbag. Scrolling on down here. Here's some more stuff talking about the $76 billion acquisition in February. Microsoft cut 1,900 jobs, mostly at Activision Blizzard, because you probably had people that were, working on similar things. Of course, Game Pass. Now the rumors are that they're going to increase the price of Game Pass. And they might put Call of Duty into Game Pass as well. Because right now, Activision Blizzard is the only part of Xbox that is making money. There's something to think about right now. Xbox has not seen the massive growth that Xbox boss Game Pass has not seen the massive growth that Xbox boss Phil Spencer may have been hoping for. And where are you, Phil? Where are you, Phil? You're nowhere to be seen with all of this. Of course, they talk about it here. Xbox promises to support less sprawling creative titles such as Hi-Fi Rush with smaller budgets and low sales expectations. It didn't matter if games sold tens of millions of copies as long as it helped bolster the Game Pass library. And Phil Spencer, he's the one that's been preaching about Game Pass, which is great for consumers. Don't get me wrong. I have Game Pass Ultimate, and I do enjoy it. But there's clearly issues in thinking that this is going to be something sustainable. There's clearly issues with thinking that, especially with the rising development costs of games. You're going to kind of rely on people to sign up for Game Pass and want to play on your system. But the problem is, you're not really making your system very attractive. You haven't made your system very attractive for a very long time. It finally seemed like you were turning the corner with Avowed, with Indiana Jones, with Hellblade 2, which we'll talk about Hellblade 2 in just a moment. Matt Piscatella talking about, it's been flat to single-digit growth with video game subscription spending since the middle of 2021. In our data, Game Pass spending really had its big growth period in late 2019 through early 2021. During a pandemic, when people were stuck at home and didn't have shit to do, they played video games. You saw it in every corner of the video game marketplace. Purchasing games and add-ons as well as free-to-play models are still vastly preferred method of getting to video games by U.S. consumers, at least for now. And this just kind of goes on. Console revenue's down. Everything's down. This, that, or the other. Phil Spencer, the thing that has me the most concerned for the industry is the lack of growth. Shut your damn mouth. Bro, you have a growth problem. You have a growth problem. Sony is still moving systems. You would kill for PS5 numbers. Nintendo is still moving systems. You have a problem at Xbox where there's no accountability. Who is the boss? Who's running the show there? You know, this is a problem with Xbox. You know what it is? They want to be, before I get into that, I did say I wanted to talk about Hellblade 2. Hellblade 2 comes out in like 2 weeks. Where's the marketing for this game? I haven't seen any. What did Xbox do today on the 8th when I'm filming this video? They put up a tweet saying, Hellblade 2, coming soon. What the hell is wrong with you? This is one of your biggest games for 2024. This is a game that's been in development for several years that was highly rated, highly acclaimed. One of the most, a game that I feel kind of, bridged a gap between people who like those types of games and people who don't like those types of games. Because Hellblade, to me, didn't seem on paper like a game that I would be super interested in. But once I played it, I was like, whoa. This is freaking awesome. This does have a good story. It's an interesting story. Senua is an interesting character. I want to do more with this franchise. I want to see it grow. And now you have this game coming out and you've done nothing. You've been sitting on your ass with your thumb up your ass, looking for chocolate up there or something because you haven't done any promotion for this game. This game is essentially just being thrown onto Game Pass and people just like, hey, buy the game. Or get the game on Game Pass. Here you go. Look, it's on Game Pass. You can just download it. Hit the button. Like, how do you think that's going to make people want to get Game Pass? Make a Game Pass commercial where you show games like Hellblade, upcoming Indiana Jones. You show games that you've already released for the system. Like, how is just throwing money around at companies to put their games on Game Pass going to be sustainable? Especially when the data is showing that it hasn't been growing since 2021. But here's the problem. Accountability. Like I said just a few minutes ago, before I wanted to go on my Hellblade rant, who runs the show over there? Because to me, this is how I view it. There is no real hierarchy here. To me, it's not about running a business. It's about running a friendship. And that, my friends, is the problem with Xbox. Do you think Phil Spencer is going into these studios and being like, hey, what are you doing? Let's get to work. What's going on here? What do you need? How can we assist you in order to, get this game ready and make this game be a banger? He's too busy. All these Xbox people are too busy doing fan meetups, hanging out, going to breakfast with the fans, the diehard Xbox fans. Oh, come out to this event. We'll fly you out. We'll waste money on this. And then you can come and hang out with us and sniff our asses while we all eat breakfast together. Are you getting pancakes or are you getting waffles? Like, what other company does that? What other company does that? What other video game company builds these parasocial relationships? A major video game company builds some sort of parasocial relationship with the diehard fans, the weirdos who are out there preaching about Xbox on the street corners. None of them. Because they have a freaking brain. Because what ends up happening is eventually you will piss those fans off. Eventually, those fans will turn their back on you. And what happened? Tim Dog. If you don't know who Tim Dog, if you don't know who these people are, you're better off for it. Tim Dog, some man in his mid-50s who preaches about Xbox all the time, turned her back. He turned his back on him. After going out to eat with Phil, playing video games with Phil, he turned his back to him. Said, I'm done with Xbox. Bought a bunch of PlayStation shit. Peter Ovo. Man, that dude sucks. I've had interactions with him. That dude really sucks. Turned his back on Xbox. He would bleed Xbox green. I assumed he was kind of younger, so I didn't really want to pick on him too much. I know Tim Dog is a grown-ass man. I've made jokes about it. Like, during the whole thing, when supposedly Starfield was coming to PlayStation 5, Tim Dog was on Twitter like, hey, Phil, come to my podcast, Phil. Let's clear the air, Phil. It's like, this is the relationship you have built with these people. And now they're all leaving you. So what do you have? You have a company that's lacking direction. You have a company with studios who are scared out of their mind. Are we going to be next on the chopping block? Because it's not about success. Because success doesn't mean anything to Xbox. What is success to Xbox? You said Hi-Fi Rush was successful. You said it, not me. You said it. And then you close the studio down. You said that Redfall did okay. You were cool with it. You closed that studio down. So what is success? Do you even know what success is? Do you even have your own metrics of what success needs to be? Or are you just going to close stuff down until eventually, I guess it's over? Like, I don't know what the grand plan is here. And I don't think Xbox does anymore. They banked on this Game Pass to be the new video game distribution model, thinking that that's what they had to do. Maybe they went too deep with Game Pass. Maybe everything shouldn't have been Game Pass after all. Now you got a bunch of employees at all these companies worried about their job. Great job, Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond. You guys are killing it. You guys are awesome. Hey, release another Xbox controller, you jackasses. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.